Hi guys, it's Salis, and I gotta ask the question, are the Souls games a perfect product of their time? We've all heard the phrase a product of their time, and usually this is a phrase used to justify something either seriously dated or ridiculously offensive. Some examples of this would be stuff like the political jokes and references in one of my favourite series, The Young Ones, or the massively racist character of Ben in the Short Circuit movies. I also love those movies, and it is taking massive restraint to maintain the good taste and not do an impression of in this video. You're welcome, Internet. Now, before we begin, I want you to get a post-it note and a small box. A cigarette packet or a Pringles tube will do. Now, get the writing implement of your choice, and on the post-it note, write the words graphical fidelity. Now take the note, put it in the box, and kick the box out of the nearest window. Because this isn't a discussion about a game looking pretty or being 3D or open world or anything of the kind. For the sake of argument, From Software could have just as easily made a challenging 2D pixel art game, and they would have had just as much of a cult following as they have with the Souls games. These games buck the trend of product of their times in my eyes, because if we ignore the bad PC port of Dark Souls' initial release, they are fantastic games. But I don't think it could have survived before things like Google and YouTube and wikis came hand in hand with gaming. I believe had these games been released back in the days before Web 2.0, they would have fallen flat due to their famous difficulty and equipment and stat management systems. If it had, then the strategy guide, which would have had to inevitably been made, would probably be something so thick you could club a whale to death with it. And of course back then we had the premium rate helplines, and all of this would have resulted in a game so hard you would need to shell out countless amounts of additional money just to make any form of progress. And that would have resulted in a game becoming feared and rarely purchased. So most likely would not have gotten past Demon's Souls if it had got past its initial pitch at all. But by releasing in the current era, they've managed to maximise community involvement, and despite people insisting there is no community in gaming, the existence of wikis as in-depth and detailed as the Souls games have, as well as the numerous YouTube videos showing off ideal builds, weapons, strategies, as well as the players on Twitch who do stuff like speedruns, and the first-time players who ask for advice in the game from the thousands of viewers they get in their chat on a regular basis. And this is something that could only happen in the era in which we live now. And I believe, when taken as a whole, is the reason why the Souls games get the amount of love they do, and why so many prominent figures such as Total Biscuit start petitions to bring the Souls games to other platforms. When they'd originally started out as console exclusives, they came to PC. And why so many people signed these petitions. The Souls games, if you look at the basic structure, are nothing more than your average action RPG. And while ARPGs had existed before, they hadn't been so reliant on tactical play or as difficult. But the difficulty only comes from the more realistic damage in combat. In previous ARPGs, weapons didn't have any real weight to them, so it was always easy to dodge or block incoming damage. Whereas the Souls games, weapons have swing time, during which you are exposed and you can't block indefinitely because it wears you down, much like it would in real life. Add to this the fact that enemies can inflict similar damage to yourself, so the challenge matches you as you go around the game world. And then the bosses, which hit like Optimus Prime wielding cement trucks and need special tactics to beat. And it's this style of difficulty which drives the players to the interwebs to research tactics, builds and weapons to complete the game, rather than snap their controllers in half in frustration, throw the game disc out of the window and go back to Zelda. Or at least for me, it feels like I'm not alone in this struggle. But as I said, usually, a product of the times is only ever applied to things that we look back on with a sense of nostalgia mixed with regret, dread and a slight bit of shame. But the question I have for you all is, will the Souls games be looked back on in this way in a few years' time? Or have they reclaimed the phrase product of their time to mean something else, something more? In this simple idiot's humble opinion, I think the Souls games are a product of their time because they could only exist at this time. But please feel free to leave your opinions or responses to this editorial in the comments below. And as always, I've been Salis. I love the Souls games. And I will see you next time.